Good morning, everyone, and happy Monday slash daylight savings time. I cannot even tell you guys how much I enjoyed yesterday and having so much light for so long. It was really, really nice. It was a very bright and sunny day, and now for the next like 3 or 4 days it's going to be extremely gloomy and cloudy and windy outside, which is going to be super exciting. Note the sarcasm that's kind of happening in my voice there. So today is Monday, and today is going to be a pretty normal routine day. I think it's a routine week. Like, that's kind of nice because then we don't have really any assemblies. We don't have anything that's kind of going on. It's a very just like routine teaching week, which is good, right? The only thing I can't say is that this week is going to be like my week of visitors coming into my room. So we have a lot of different districts around in our area that like to come and visit us to see exactly what is it that we're doing at our district, and how we're implementing 101, how we're implementing mass customization, individualization, that type of thing. So they're going to be coming into my room today, and it is going to be in the afternoon. So I sent out an email to a couple of students who I felt like are going to be really great representatives during that time for the MAC team, and they have very graciously said that they would do this. So what their jobs are going to be is that they are going to greet the visitors that are coming into the room, and then they're just going to kind of walk them around, show them exactly what they're doing, explain to them our schedule, explain to them the individualized learning that's happening there, how they get to their learner tasks for the day. So they are going to be doing all of that while I'll be teaching. So I will have a small group during that time. They only come in for probably about 15 to 20 minutes, and then they move on to another teacher. That type of schedule is kind of happening there. So they're not going to be in here for long, but I just want to make sure that my kids kind of know and understand what is it that I'm expecting that I would like for them to be able to communicate later on. So I will be meeting with them this morning for that. I did get a lot of planning done yesterday. It wasn't like extremely detailed planning, but I at least was able to kind of map out my week and figure out how I wanted to do my week, which normally I don't typically do. I normally will just plan out for like Monday and Tuesday, and then that's about it, and then I'll just kind of plan for the rest of the week then, like during the week. But for some reason this week I really want to just have kind of a map out, and I guess it is because we are going to have so many visitors, because we're also going to get visitors from, I think it's one of our elementary schools on Thursday. I'm pretty sure it's one of our elementary schools on Thursday. So I also wanted to make sure that I was prepared for that too. I just want to be on point. You know what I mean? So I'm going to get all of my things unpacked this morning. I was a little bit bummed out because our butcher block was not done this weekend. I think my husband said that he's going to end up putting everything back this morning, but that means I didn't get to cook yesterday, so I didn't have anything for lunch, which is kind of a bummer. It's not easy for me to plan like gluten-free lunches, and I didn't have like any of the freezer stuff, like you know how you can go and buy like gluten-free bean burritos or something like that. I didn't have anything in my freezer, so c'est la vie. I did bring some yogurt and some bananas, so I think I'll just end up making that for breakfast, and then I'll have another serving for lunch, and then I'll be okay with that. So I'm gonna get unpacked, and then I have a couple of things that I need to get done this morning. I want to laminate something for my targets. I want to make a few copies this morning so I don't have to stress about it later on in the afternoon. So I do have to confess to you guys that I did not get here until way later than what I'm used to. I think I got here around 7:10. I just was struggling to like leave the house this morning. And I think part of that was just because I didn't know what to bring for lunch. Anyway, I'm also in a very like, the words that are coming out of my mouth are not coherent. So I apologize. Like, I feel like I still have like the sleepy voice. You guys are the first people that I talk to whenever I wake up in the morning. So there's usually no one ever, there's never anyone here at school. I'm always like one of the first people here, other than like the maintenance people who are like here to like open the building up. But I don't see them and I don't like sit and chit chat with them. So you guys are the first ones that I ever talk with in the mornings. And I feel like this morning I'm having like really bad sleep talk coming out of my mouth. So I apologize for that. So I'm currently sitting here trying to get some things laminated. I think I am almost done. But I wanted to kind of change up how I have my targets up there because I really hate how messy they look on my board. So I saw this here where I can actually use lines. So I just kind of put it onto a PowerPoint presentation, added my rotations at the very top, and then on the side I like to have vocabulary somewhere posted. So I figured what would be nice if I just kind of cut out one vocabulary, and on each side you're going to have the vocabulary that goes with that rotation, so that we constantly are making sure that we're using the correct that we're constantly using, that we are constantly making sure that we are using the correct terms and vocabulary within each rotation. So I felt like that was pretty good and pretty important. So I'm gonna try to see how that works out for me and then show you guys what this looks like in the very end. Okay, morning message is up. I've got to get going, guys, because I have a meeting that I need to get to, so hopefully I can catch up with you guys a little bit later on and let you know how the day is going. So I feel like I have to apologize about yesterday because I ended up not being able to vlog at all. At one point I go to pick up the camera and I was like, all right, I'm gonna vlog. And all of a sudden my memory card became full, and then I forgot to like even empty out my memory card onto my laptop. So it ended up being just that I just didn't vlog. But it's okay because I didn't really do much. All I did was really just go home because I was feeling a little tired, especially since we had the time change. So I went home, I made breakfast for dinner because it was pretty easy for me to make. I talked to Junior on the phone for a little while because he was telling me about his conference, which went really, really well, and I'm so proud of him. And that was it for the most part. Like, I sat down and all I did was just take out my computer and I did some grading on Schoology, and that was all I did. This morning we do have a very, very short meeting at 8 o'clock. Typically it is like a day 5 on my schedule, so on day 5s I normally do not have a collab, but this is a meeting that our principal kind of called. So we're gonna go to the meeting at 8 o'clock, and then hopefully it won't take too long so I can kind of sit down and get some grading done because I didn't get as much done as I wanted to get done last night. I'm really excited because my farmers are starting to get to the point where they're finishing up their writing. I was able to renew my kid blog license through the school district, so I'm going to introduce to them today Kid Blog, and we're going to try to get them to publish their writing onto Kid Blog. We have kind of like a big huge web of conspiracy that starts talking about like the, you know, what is a plant, you know, what do they need, what are the tools that we need, how do you grow a seed. So my idea was to like, so we have some here, we have more right here, and then we have more right there. So the idea that I had was that as they're kind of doing their research and they're coming up with their answers for all of these essential questions that we made, that the kids would then create a QR code that would link to some tags within the blog post. So then they would print out the QR code, and we would have QR codes kind of right next to where the essential questions are. So then they could like scan it and be able to locate the answer pretty easily. So that if we have other groups like our PR or our builders or our researchers, anything that they want to find, they can kind of come over here to the essential questions, scan it, and be able to read up on what it is that the other departments have researched, which I thought was a really, really good idea, especially with technology and getting them used to blogging, and I don't know, I just thought it was nice. So that's what we're going to be doing this morning. I think I pretty much have everything ready for my groups. Morning message is ready. Table is ready, targets are ready. I do want to say that I ended up changing my learning targets just because I am not liking having them on this board at all. So I showed you guys a little bit yesterday that I was laminating some, but I was never able to kind of sit down and explain to you what I was doing. So I created kind of like a paper. All I did was just find like a paper background, like scrapbooking digital paper. I put it onto like a PowerPoint, and then all I did was write down my rotations in there, and then I created one smaller version to be able to put like vocabulary for each of the groups. So here's kind of what it ended up looking like. I really like where it's located now, and it's easier for me to be able to write neater because it does have lines on it. Do you see how much easier it is to write neat? But yeah, so I have all of the rotations where I have a group at. Rotation 2 right now is an independent math time, so I'm just kind of providing some remediation for some students who need kind of that extra help with some order of operations. So I don't really have a group there. But yeah, that's what it looks like. I really like it. I'm hoping that it's going to work out the way that I want it to work out. So we're going to kind of continue going with this to see how it all ends up working. I already said that. I said work a lot of times. Sorry, guys. I'm hoping that that's going to be really good and useful. Especially from where it was. So it was there on that, and now it's just right there. The kids seem to like it. They really like the where it was and how it was displayed. So if they like it, then I like it. All right, I'm gonna sit down and try to get some grading done before I have to go to this meeting.
Oh, but
you feel all right? You anxious?
Yeah, yeah. And actually, because of the way my anxiety works, I've sort of trained.
And it says positive vibes only. Very you feeling that. Bar cart, not very you.
Yeah. Okay, so that was a tad bit of a painful experience. I am not even joking you. I stood in line for about 5 minutes while the lady at the register and another lady who was checking out chit-chatted about every single question known to mankind. Anyways, way too many minutes later, I got the book. The Wild Robot Escapes. I'm so excited. So how many of you have ever been on a road trip? In a car, on a road trip. And when you go on this road trip, how many times have you said, oh, that looks really cool. And so you stop and you go out and you take pictures of it because you're like, man, this is a really cool part of my trip. This is a really neat piece. I want to remember this. Hands down. So you stop every once in a while. You kind of take a picture because you want to remember it in your mind, right? So that when you go home and you say, hey, Pablo, oh man, I went on this really cool trip. It was so awesome. I was driving along and then I saw this really cool mountain. It looked like it had 2 heads. So I stopped and I took a look at the picture. Look at it. It has 2 heads. It's so cool. You use these kind of pictures to be able to tell the story of your trip, right? How many times have you opened your album and you go through and it's almost like a story of your life too? You say, oh, I remember this from this is when I started walking, this is when I started eating my foods. But it tells the story of your life, or it tells the story of your trip. So when we use this strategy called road mapping, we're kind of stopping every once in a while. We're creating a picture, something small for us to be able to remember this part of a text. Okay, so that's what we're going to do today. We're going to learn about road mapping and how we can stop and almost create a little image to help us as we go along through it. Okay, I want us to look at this. You're going to need a couple of different things. Why don't we pull out a pencil and then a highlighter as well, please? A pencil and a yellow highlighter. There's some down there at the bottom. Okay, we're going to go ahead and start looking at our text. Now, just a reminder that as we're reading through this text, I want you to be thinking about the text structure of different sections of it. Okay, think about the text structure of some of these different sections. So I want you to follow along for a little bit. Open your text out. Open your article. We're reading. Right at the first paragraph. Just before midnight on September 2nd, 1666, a fire broke out in one of London's many wooden houses. Some believe it started in Thomas Freynor's oven. Freynor, a baker for King Charles II, and his family had been sleeping on the second floor of their Pudding Lane home. They awoke to flames and smoke. Freynor realized there was only one way out. In a panic, he and his children raced to an to an upstairs window. They climbed through the opening and along a gutter to the safety of their neighbor's home. A maid working for Freynor also tried to escape the blaze through the window, but her fear of heights caused her to slip and fall to her death in the street. Okay, I want you to stop and I want you to think. Think about the text structure. What kind of text structure do you think it could be? Is it going to be the order and sequence? Is it telling us the sequence of events? Is it describing something to us? Is it a problem solution, cause and effect, or compare and contrast? Which one do you think it could be? What do you think? Cause and effect? So does it tell us what causes it? Okay. You think it's cause and effect? Go ahead. You think it's description? If you look here on our actual page there, where it says order and sequence, it gives us some ideas of clues that we can look for. Okay, compare for cause and effect. It says cause, if, then, effect, as a result, or because. Did we hear any of those words? What about? So it gives us steps, instructions, signal words. Describing is about characteristics, creating a mental image. I want you to reread that first section to yourself and kind of think about it. What are they talking about? Go ahead. Order and sequence. You agree? Why do you agree with him? It's the end of the day, finally, and I had my time with my sweet girl that stays with me to kind of work on words and sounds. So we did that this afternoon. I continued her Orton Gillingham. She's doing really well. She really likes how predictable it is. So we do kind of the same procedures for every word, for every sound, for every time we do a dictation sentence, and she really enjoys that. Like, she's gotten to the point where she knows it, but I feel like what's the most important part, and I think that we do this as teachers, we feel like when students know how to do something and they figure a procedure out, then we kind of let up a little bit and we're not so explicit ourselves. I continue to be very explicit. Like, I continue to do the modeling 3 times. Oh, that's my husband. So she really likes that, and I think that that is really benefiting and helping her to be able to remember how to spell. Hi. Oh, my mascara is dripped. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Wednesday, March the 14th. Today is my husband's birthday, so I stayed home a little bit later than what I normally do to be able to get his dinner ready today. So I'm making carnitas, and I put it inside of the crock pot, got it all ready to go. Today I'm going to be scooting out pretty quick after school today, because I will have family coming over just to have dinner so that we can all kind of celebrate his birthday. He did not want it at all, but we're doing it despite what he says. So he's just gonna have to deal. But this morning I have already starting to kind of have like little hiccups. Y'all might like dry eye is back. Do you see my eye? Look how funky that thing looks. Ugh. And I think I have found the culprit. And I don't know if it's a combination of things, but my sinuses are really bad right now, so I think I got like a sinus thing that's going on, which isn't that big of a deal, but it is kind of a pain in the butt to like not feel like on top of your game. But then I also think that the fires that we've been having at night, because we have like a wood burning like fireplace at my house, so we've been burning firewood to be able to keep it really warm, so it keeps the downstairs really warm, which is nice, and so we're not using so much of our gas heat because our gas bill has been crazy this winter. So we've been having more fires now that it's been pretty cold outside, and I wonder if that's like causing irritation to my eye as well. So I have not been able to find my stinking glasses for the last like 3 days. My contacts were irritating me, but I had no way to be able to see because I couldn't find my stinking glasses. Wouldn't you know it, that this morning I'm like getting ready in the bathroom, was kind of freaking out because I'm like, what in the world am I gonna do? Because I can't put these contacts in my eyes. They're going to start to irritate me. Well, I go and I look at my husband. He has like this little hanging thing that he likes to use for some really weird reason to put all his bathroom stuff in on the back of our door. Once you know, I go in there to look for something, and there are my flipping glasses. He had them inside of his little case thing, and we've been like tearing our house apart trying to figure out where in the world my glasses could have gone. It was all his fault. I'm not going to mention it today because it is his birthday, but you better believe I'm going to mention it tomorrow. I'm mentioning it. I have a little bit of a mess this morning, so I need to get my area cleaned up, but I did want to show you guys a couple of things that I got in from Amazon that I am pretty excited about. So you guys are probably going to think that this is incredibly lame for me to be excited about it, but I'm a teacher, y'all. Like, I like school supplies. Like, it is, like, that's what I do. But one of the items that I got is for my lesson planning, like the resource binder that I have that kind of contains all of my teaching resources that I use throughout the week, and I kind of change them out as my groups are changing. But I've got, look at that. I got these, which I'm very excited about. One, because I love the colors. Look how pretty those colors are. Like, this is all me right here. This is what I do. So I love the colors, but two, because they have pockets, and I like the fact that I can put pockets in there in case I have like different types of checklists or anything that I need to just like shove inside the pocket. So I'm really glad about this, and I'm going to change these out today. The other thing that I'm incredibly excited about are these dry erase markers. My partner, KT, got these dry erase markers, and I was like, oh my gosh, I cannot believe she bought these markers. That's ridiculous. But they are truly so vivid and so bright. Like, they are the most vivid colors I have ever seen on a whiteboard. Like, absolutely beautiful. And they clean really nice as well. I am a little bit of a weird teacher, and my kids know it, because I don't like color dry erase markers. I don't like the color that they leave behind it. I don't like the smudge. It irritates me, and I can't handle it. I am very, very excited about these. So, hoorah to that. Look how pretty that looks. Oh my gosh, I'm in tab heaven. I feel like we should just try these out. So I'm gonna pick some, and I'm just gonna write and see what they look like. Oh my goodness, do you guys see that color? Do you see that? Holy moly, these are gorgeous. Alright, let's do this one. And I feel like it's coming out darker on here. Wow, these are beautiful. And how about we do, you want to do a blue? Let's do a blue. Oops. I mean, they are just so beautiful. Look at that. Isn't that cool? Okay. Here's where we're going to test this. Oh my gosh. Look how clean that wiped it off. Holy moly, y'all. I'm going to put the link to these down below. Definitely go and check out these markers. They are so, so beautiful. Oh my gosh, so pretty. You guys got to try these. And they clean really, really nice. Look at that. That's gorgeous. Okay, y'all, so I have my planner set out. I have the notes with the key ready for my algebra group, along with some other papers that we have for the algebra group to be able to kind of practice with. I also have some word study packets that I'm kind of finishing up for about 4 of our kiddos who just can't do it in Schoology. So we are creating little packets for them because it just helps them to stay a little bit more organized. And we do what we do for our kids, you know what I mean? So I have that kind of set out for them. I also got together some books and reading for some of our other kiddos. I feel like for the most part, I am pretty much ready to go for this morning. I look crazy. All right, I'm gonna call my husband, wish him a happy birthday. Oh, I gotta show you one more thing. So out in the hallway, what we do is we created little sheets of butcher plate paper, and we have kind of these little signs, and we started it in January. So we have the "We Are Mad for Books." My KT has been kind of creating these, but I went on ahead and made the one for this month. So Mad for Books, March Madness. So we have little basketballs for this month. So the kids, as they finish a book, they are putting their names on it and writing the title of the book that they read, and we're kind of having a competition between little houses. So we have like 4 of these set up for all the 4 different houses to see kind of which house is reading the most books. So I'm gonna get that together as well, get those out in the hallway so that we can start putting up our basketballs. That's really about it, y'all. Call my husband, wish him a happy birthday, and then I'm gonna get the rest of my things together so that I can get started with the day. I need some coffee. Happy birthday. This is your wife. You're such a turd. Okay, so I just wanted to share this with you guys. I have like 5 minutes before the bell is about to ring for the kids to come in the room. But I went online, and it's always a dangerous thing to go online. And I know this, but I went online and I went to go and check out dry eye and what are the symptoms of dry eye. I think it's dry eye. I'm not 100% sure. The last time I went, she was like, well, you have like an abrasion on your eye. And then it just kind of keeps coming and going. Today is probably one of the worst days. It resembles the day that I had to leave early. So I went online. Anyways, went to go and look up symptoms of dry eye. And what is it? Wouldn't you know it, that one of the causes, it says like what causes dry eye. One of the causes for dry eye is my freaking autoimmune thyroid disorder. So I haven't got my iPad back, but I am hoping that it will be fixed soon. So other than that, it was a really, really good day. I had 2 boys that were part of my farmers group for my PBL, and they decided that they want to come sit with me for lunch. And during that lunchtime, we were making some phone calls to local businesses. We actually were able to get in touch with one company, and they were so amazing, but they gave us some fantastic prices, so we're very, very excited. Like, we were so incredibly stoked because the guy was like offering to be able to help us out and to be able to come and talk to the kids and kind of give them, you know, the views from like a farmer's perspective, and it was just absolutely amazing. It was one of the best phone calls that we've had. So now the boys are in the process of trying to kind of reflect on it and write about what they did and why they did it and what they asked, do a little reflection piece on how they felt at the very end of it so that they can put it up onto our kid blog. So it's all really, really exciting. I'm very excited for them. I'm very excited for what's going to be happening with us and like our program. It's all good things. Because it is my husband's birthday today, I wanted to skedaddle as soon as the bell rings. So what I'm doing is I am going to go ahead and start getting everything cleaned up before the kids come back for read aloud so that I don't have to stay too long here and I can kind of get home because I still need to bake his cake. I think dinner for the most part should be ready because it's all in the crock pot. But yes, that's kind of what's happening. It's been a good day so overall. I've been very, very happy with it. I mean, other than my hair looking a little bit crazy, I did have to pin back my bangs. My eyes looking a little bit of a mess. I look like a hot mess, but the day has gone so, so great. Good morning, everyone. Today is another day where we have visitors coming in to our classrooms. It is a school within our district, and actually it's one of the elementary schools. So they are as well creating like a multi-age classroom. Those teachers wanted to come in and see what we're doing. We're going to end up going to see what they're doing in the next like month or so. So it's all very, very exciting. They are going to be spending the entire half of the morning with us. So they're going to be with us from 8 until 12 o'clock, and then they will, well, probably 11:30, and then they'll end up leaving to go back to their school so that they can get to their classrooms at the afternoon time. So it is going to be a very busy morning. I think we're going to end up having a collab with them at 8 o'clock so that we can kind of give them the run through of how everything is working. What are we doing in our classrooms? I'm kind of excited because my kids the other day, they came up to me and they were like, hey, Miss Backman, can we do Open the Magic Door? If you haven't heard, that thing right there, don't want to say her name, does something called Open the Magic Door. And it's not a skill that you actually have to like put onto yours. Like it does it automatically. But it's cool because it takes you through a little story. You get to choose which paths you want to take, and the kids really, really loved it. Well, today I uploaded the skill of the escape room. So I'm gonna surprise the kids that we're gonna do escape room for this morning because they just really wanted to do it and they really find it interesting and fun and exciting. So I'm like, we'll do escape room. So I threw my plans out the window so that we could do this. And sometimes that is completely okay. I feel like I'm not talking very well this morning. And I'm like snotty and gross. Although my eye is not hurting as much. Like it actually, do you guys see? Like it doesn't look as bad as what the past few days have been. I have one group that my first group I have everything ready to go. So I'm going to kind of walk you guys through what I'm doing because it's going to help me out. Let me get my little stand, aka my stool. I set you guys on this. Super fancy technology here. All right, so let's get planning together. I'm going to kind of walk you guys through what I'm going to do this morning because it's going to help my little brain make sure that I have everything that I need to have. So for my very first, for this morning, for like my morning meeting, we're going to do the escape the room. So I don't need to have anything prepared for that, although I do need to get my morning message up. So I'm going to go ahead and write that down. Make myself a little to-do list like right here on my whiteboard. These markers, y'all, fabulous. All right, to do. I need to do my morning message. I also need to sharpen my pencils. I don't know why sharpening my pencils came to my head, but I need to sharpen pencils. Okay. For my first group, we are working, it's one of my lower level reading groups. They are working on like a first, second grade reading level, but we're doing informational, and I want them to be able to take the information that they're applying from a text. We're going to do a little bit of comparing with 2 different types of text, and then they are going to end up doing writing a little bit later on, especially using like text features and that type of those types of skills. I don't know. I can't think this morning. Okay, so here's kind of like the process that I'm doing with them. I found the book. The first, I am reading this one aloud to them from Seed to Plant by Gail Gibbons. Oh my gosh, y'all, I loved Gail Gibbons when I taught kindergarten. If you do not do a Gail Gibbons, like informational author study, you need to be doing it because phenomenal author. And like the kids in kindergarten freaking ate it up. So I'm using Gail Gibbons to be able to do kind of a comparison. I'm doing the From Seed to Plant aloud. I'm reading this aloud to them. We're having kind of a discussion. We're identifying certain things. We're finding the text features. We're talking about those text features. But then what I'm going to have them do is after I do this, I'm going to say, okay guys, I want you to look at your books and then I want you to be able to find it in your text. So they have this one, which is Seed to Plant, and we're going to be doing almost a comparison of the 2 different texts. They're going to be using the information that we pull from both texts to be able to compare and contrast it, and then use those 2 texts to be able to apply it into their writing that we're going to do later on. So I have my books ready to go. And I don't need anything there right now because I'm teaching them road mapping, which I will get to in just a minute. Okay, so my first group is done. My second group, we are working on, I'm doing a remediation with a few boys on order of operations. So I have the order of operations, but I do need to get a homework page for them. So order op homework. I don't have to have that until the afternoon, which is good. So the third group that I have is my CPM group. I don't need to have anything ready for them because it's pretty much all inside of the text. I did need to check one thing in my CPM, so I'm going to write that down. And then I also wanted to do a quick check for them for Friday, but I am going to write that down so that I don't lose track of it. And all the stuff that I'm writing here, y'all, I'm going to end up transferring it to my planner. This is just kind of my chicken scratch. Does that make sense? Okay, that's my third group. My fourth rotation for this morning is my algebra group. And my algebra group right now, we are working on writing expressions, like numerical expressions. So they yesterday were able to take notes, and then they took a page where they finished half of the problem. So we're going to do the other half of the problems today, and then I have a page for them to already do. So all of that's ready to go, and I don't actually have to get anything out. I just need to make sure I have all the papers out on my table, so I'm not like scrambling looking for everything. So the fifth group that I have this morning, well, it's after lunch, but I'm still going to tell you guys. The fifth group that I'm having this morning, I found, and it wasn't really I found, my reading specialist found in like our back room that we have these books. I don't know if you guys have ever seen these books. It looked cool because it said disasters, and I'm like, ooh, disasters. It brings my attention. Like, I get hooked automatically when it's anything like, I don't know. I just like learning about that kind of stuff. I'm weird. So I found a text in here. It was about the London fire. And what we're doing is we're taking a break from plot for just a little bit, and we're going into informational text because my kids are sick of plot, which I don't blame them. So we're going into informational text, and we'll come back and revisit plot. And I think on Friday, we're going to have them do an activity with the wild robot. So I'm going to have them create a plot map using the wild robot and write a summary so that they can kind of apply their learning. But I pulled out the London fire. I think it's the London fire is what it's called, from here, and we've been doing something called road mapping. So let me find mine so that I can show you guys what it looks like. These are all of the words. Nope, it's right there. All right, it's right here. Excuse me. Okay. So we're doing something called road mapping, and road mapping is extremely beneficial, especially when they start to get to the point where they're wanting to do testing. It just helps them kind of put their thoughts down, and it's not even like testing itself, but it's just being able to reflect on the reading that you've just done. So I tell my kids, I'm like, hey, have you ever been on a road trip? How many of you have been on road trips? I was like, I've been on a road trip, and every once in a while we're driving along, and then all of a sudden, like, we stop because we see something really, really cool, and we want to take a picture of it because we want to remember it. Think about when you go back home and you sit down with your friends and you're like, hey, I went on this really cool trip. I saw this, I saw this, I saw this. It's a map of your vacation, right? It's a map of where you've been and what you've done. It's just to kind of help you remember your experiences and where you were going. I said, when you're reading, it's doing the exact same thing. You are going on this little trip, and every once in a while, as you're like learning new things and you're finding new things out in your story, and your story is your trip, but as you're finding new things out in your story, then you stop and you're able to kind of reflect on what it is that you just kind of got from it, and you write that down so that you can kind of take a picture of it and you have it as a picture. So this is what I've shown my kiddos. You're going to see it here, but we wrote down the steps for each of them. First we have text structure, then I want them to find the main idea and the key details. I do things in reverse. I don't know why, it just helps my brain. So I modeled this one for them. I was able to show them which one it was. We talked about how it was order and sequence, the events that started the fire. So we put out the key details here. Then here we saw the cause and effect. We found the cause. Here was the effect. We wrote our main idea. We highlighted our key details. Well, yesterday the kids were to read the next paragraph by themselves and independent. doing all of the exact same steps. So we're going to continue going through it, reading it, and continuing practicing with our road mapping skills and our main idea and key detail skills. So that's kind of what that group is doing, and I'm going to continue doing that with them. For JA BizTown, holy moly, y'all, we are getting close to JA BizTown. Like, really close to JA BizTown. Next week, we're actually going to have interviews on Friday. It's kind of scary. So for that group, I am going to start off with my mentor sentences. We're going to go through that quick, because we're going to give them some checkbook practice. We're going to go through checkbook practice, and then I'm going to have them do the interest survey at the very end. Like, that's at the start of, I think, chapter 3 or something to that extent. But that's going to get them ready to start talking about the resumes application process, which is what we're going to start with next week. So, whew, it's going to be great. My other 2 groups that I have in the afternoon, because I only have 2 more groups after JA, I am working on a book. So we're reading 2 different books, Save Me a Seat, which is fantastic for point of view, y'all. If you are having to teach point of view about a subject and comparing 2 different points of view, oh my goodness, read Save Me a Seat, because it is an absolute fantastic text to align to those standards. It's fantastic. And then we are also reading How to Steal a Dog, because we're doing the comparison of the Wish and How to Steal a Dog and the 2 stories, because that is my 5th grade standard. So that's what we're doing there. The only thing I have to figure out now is my researchers, my farmers. I have 1 set of farmers. Did I tell y'all this yesterday? It was so cute. I gotta tell y'all this. I had to give you some different scenery too. My farmers, I had 2 boys yesterday, and I cannot for the love of me remember if I told y'all this, but I had 2 boys yesterday. They were like, hey, Mrs. Spackman, we don't have time to do phone calls any other time. We need to have this done by this day. Can we just stay in for lunch? And I'm like, yes, absolutely. Just stay in for lunch. We'll get it done. So we ended up calling, I think I do remember telling you this, but we ended up calling a local business, and we were all just so excited because they were talking about, like, he was so nice and they were so helpful, and we got prices. So the boys got really excited. So at this point, those 2 boys are working on a blog post to be able to kind of reflect on their learning, talk about the processes that they went through to be able to kind of get to the point where they are now, writing down what they ended up saying, what they ended up talking to, who they ended up talking to, how did those conversations go, what kind of information they got out of those conversations. So they're working on the writing pieces for that. So I'm going to let them go on that. The other group, they're getting ready to, on Friday, probably, yes, Friday they're going to get ready to start planting. So I have one sweet girl who is my manager. She is already done with her how-to writing. She has it posted up onto KidBlog. That is ready to go. I think what I want her to do is make a QR code for that this morning so that we can get it posted up onto our board to start kind of tracking some of our learning. All the other kiddos are kind of finishing up, and that's her responsibility to be able to go around and kind of assist those learners with that. And then I have a group of farmers that I'm working on with their own special writing up there, just so that I can kind of meet their individual needs. The researchers at this point, they are finishing up with the QR code. They're going to get those out. I think we're going to get those printed out this morning and then send them out this afternoon to classrooms. The other researchers are kind of putting together all of their learning into like a pick-to-chart format online, where they're going to have like a display of all of the information that they've gathered. So lots of great things that are happening in the classroom. I feel good about what I'm doing today. So with that said, I am going to get cracking on my mess. This is some of the weirdest weather I have ever experienced this week. think I might be looking like I just straight up rolled out of bed. I didn't really check my hair that well this morning, did I? Oh, well. Good morning, everyone. It is Friday, finally. These 5-day work weeks are straight up killing me. Not gonna lie. So I finally got up. Sorry. So I finally got up my paper. I was too cheap to go to Target and just buy a new roll, so I used the butcher plate paper, and I still have a ton left because you can fold it into thirds and cut it, and it will fit right into that little Target page. Like, I don't know, what is this called? This little Target stand to hold the paper roll. So, I mean, it's a little crooked, I'm not gonna lie, but it works. So that's all that matters. And now I can put up some announcements on there. So I do have my little makeshift, like, awful looking leprechaun. So, I mean, it works, right? And there is my cute little boy's writing from yesterday. Look at that. Looks like, I think that's Godzilla or maybe an alien. I'm not sure. But it has a green eye. So yesterday, right after school, all 3 of my boys, my husband and my 2 kids, decided that they were going to come to the school. Ian wanted to look for a book inside of the libraries, so they all came and we kind of hung out in here. I got a little bit of work done, but it was nice because Blaine has not been to the school in a very long time, I guess since like what, the beginning of the year probably, and he was really excited to be here. So we went around, we walked in, looked at fish, we came back. Like, he was just super cute. I think I'm gonna leave it up there for everybody to be able to see, so because it's just stinking adorable. So I wasn't able to vlog much yesterday afternoon, and I was incredibly tired. I'm telling you, these 5-day work weeks are straight up killing me. It's not a bad thing. I just have to get used to it because, again, we haven't had a normal week since December. So, I mean, it's a little hard when you have gone that long without having a normal week. So it's like I have to get myself back into the groove of things and used to everything. So it is what it is. And I think I'm having a little bit of spring fever. This morning I need to get together some of my geometry plans. I do have a couple of things that the kids are going to do. There's some matching and some classifying, like they're classifying certain angles and they're putting those in the correct categories. I think what I'm going to end up having them do is the activity that we weren't able to finish last week, where they were kind of creating their angles and their lines, and they're using colors to be able to kind of show them on their cute little geometry page. So for those of you who haven't seen it, last week we had this little geometry book, and the kids had to go through having difficulties. They had to go through and they had to identify the lines, the segments, the points, the right angles, the obtuse and the acute angles. So I created this sheet here just by drawing lines using a Sharpie on a piece of paper, and the kids today I think are going to create their own. So I'm going to have them create their own papers using like, I want to have so many lines, so many line segments, so many line points, so many you know, obtuse angles, acute angles, right angles, and I think that's what we're going to do today. So we're going to do some classifying, go back over some of our vocabulary, and then I'm going to give them the opportunity to be able to create their own angles so that I can see if they can make them or not. Yeah, so that's kind of the game plan there. I am also working on looking at just some of the math standards to making sure that I am teaching everything that I need to be teaching. So I am currently pulling that up on my computer so that I can look at those and figure out what else that we're going to end up doing. I mean, it's not going to end up being until next week, but still I would like to know what it is I'm teaching so that I can go ahead and have that pre-planned and I don't have to stress about it. So I am going to finish looking at that, kind of get my game plan in for this morning. I also need to meet with managers this morning, so the managers are going to come up. I think what I'm going to end up doing is my farmers are pretty much ready to start planting, so I think we're going to go ahead and start planting today back there. We're going to plant some seeds and get those going, so that'll be very, very exciting. I'm excited for them. I think I'm excited for them, and I think I'm more excited than they are. I don't know. Anyways, so I'm gonna go get to that, and then I will catch up with you guys. I don't know. I'll catch up with you guys sooner or later. It'll happen. I promise.